Okay, so here's the deal with viewports and sheet layers. What we're dealing with so far is the design layer. Everything you draw in Vectorworks gets drawn on a design layer. So if I go over to Navigation Palette and click the Design Layer tab, you see I've been working in the rep plot layer. That's what we should be in, hopefully. And then if I click the subsequent tabs, the next one over is sheet layers. It's a different kind of layer. Sheet layers are only for printing. We have to take the design layer and take a sort of a snapshot of it, which is what we call a viewport, and place that viewport on a sheet layer in order to print it accurately in scale. And it helps us do some other things to arrange it for a nice final presentation too. Here's how that works. I'm going to select my rectangle tool from my design layer. I'm going to draw a rectangle that encompasses everything that I want to include in my final printed light plot. But here's a catch. See how far away my two front of house positions are here? That's a ridiculous amount of wasted paper, basically, if we were to try to print this on a really big sheet in order to have these front of house positions show up their actual scale distance from the stage. Instead, I'll show you a different way that you can condense things and fit them on a more reasonably sized piece of paper. So for this first viewport, this first rectangle I'm drawing, I'm gonna just grab the stage area itself, and that's it. So I click again, I have my rectangle here. With that still selected, I'm going to go to the View menu and go down to Create Viewport. Now when I click it, I get this window. When you click it for the first time, you will get probably a pop-up that asks you, do you want to use the selected object as the viewport crop? Something like that. It might not be verbatim. The answer is yes, you do. And if you want, you can check off the checkbox that says do this every time or something similar, and then say OK, and it will get you to this window. And then subsequent times, if you checked that box, it'll take you here right away. And here's where we have some information to enter to, first of all, name our viewport. So since I'm going to do more than one for you here, and I think it's a good idea for you all to do this too, I'm going to name this one, I don't know, stage, I guess. Maybe that sheet layer works, but I don't know what it's there for. So I'm going to go up and say new sheet layer. So I'm going to ask it to put this viewport on a sheet layer that I will create right now. I can give it a name. I'm going to name it. Oh wait, I'd give it a number if I wanted. It was 2. We'll leave it as 2. Then I can give it a name. Light plot. Sounds good. Or rep plot. Let's do that. Rep plot. Keep edit properties after creation checked off and say OK. And then you get to edit your sheet layer. And it asks you again, do you want to change its number or its name? No, thank you. You can leave stacking order alone if you want. I'm actually going to change mine to number 1. So all this means is in your navigation palette here, once it's populated with multiple sheet layers, number 1 is on top of the list, right? So that's what that stacking order means. It's a good idea to change your raster rendering DPI to something more like 300 if you're ever going to print this thing out. That will cause it to print in a nicer resolution. And we could say something about page setup here, but I'm going to show you later instead. You have multiple opportunities to go into page setup and tell Vectorworks what size piece of paper you're printing on, or what size piece of paper is represented in your PDF file, and so forth. I like to show you how to do this later on in the process so it's a little more clear, I think. So just say OK. And here's another weird thing about our template. It's got this bizarre scale of 1 to 76. Instead, let's make our sheet layers print in 1/2 inch scale, which is like the professional standard. It should be 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch. So that ratio for 1/2 inch scale is 1 to 24. So enter a 24 there. Everything else can stay as it is. Click OK. Oh, it's already being used. That viewport's already being used. Okay. I can fix that. I don't know why, but I'm going to just say stage 1, just for the purposes of getting through this. Okay. There we go. So, there's my viewport on my sheet layer. It automatically takes me to the sheet layer now. See, there I am, checked off.